Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, we finally finished. That's right, we've put the GT2 911 Porsche body set on the GT1 Street TA03R-S chassis. And we did a few modifications. Now, it's not quite finished. I've got one or two small little parts still zooming over to go on here. The light buckets, the wiper blade, metal one of those, and I've got some brake discs to go inside. Those will arrive and I'll do those off camera. Otherwise, we're just never going to wrap this one up as there's so much coming. We've got the Terra Conquer restoration. The Astute 2022 has just arrived. We also have the Wild One Night Customs chassis swap build. That's what's coming next. So there's tons of things racking up and I need to crack on and get them done. But for now, we're going to call this done and it's going to go on the shelf. I am super chuffed with it, really happy. Let me just run through some of the modifications and things that I did. Just to try and get it as close to a road version as I could. Obviously this one is based on the race car, so there is a few things that they did differently on this one versus the standard road car, especially the rear spoiler. So the rear spoiler on this one has the extra fins that go up, bringing it higher. Well, I modified that and I removed it and I cut it out. You just got to trim it off, sand it down and then paint it up. One thing that I highly recommend if you're doing one of these, there is screw holes on this side. You definitely want to get rid of those. They're huge. So fill them in and sand it down and then blow it in and then just stick the top of the wing in and it will all hold itself pretty nicely and it just looks so much more like the actual car because you just don't have huge great holes on the side and the actual side is really swoopy, so it looks really nice. One thing that worked really well that I'm super happy with is that the PS15 paint that I used, sometimes it can be really difficult to match the hard body parts with the polycarbonate bits, but on this occasion the metallic worked brilliantly. What I did is I carried on using the PS15, then I lacquered it, I clear coated it afterwards, and it's made it as shiny as the rest of the car, and the colour hasn't changed, so it blends in lovely. I had a real problem with that on my 45th Porsche, I don't know if you can see it up here, where getting the white to match, it was kind of cream, whereas the actual body is more white, so that was a real struggle, but on this one it worked brilliantly. So some things that I've changed, obviously one of the big ones was the wheels. Now I had a picture of an original car that I really wanted to try and emulate, and it had a few cues on it that I needed to try and match. The rims and tyres, being that I wanted it to be a road car, I didn't want slicks, so the tyres I've managed to get were 26mm rubber road tyres. They were £11.87. Now I'm happy with them, but I wish they were wider because the back tyres are so wide on this car. No one that I know makes a tyre that wide. You know, the ones where you have the normal tread and then you get an extra piece. That's what this car really needs, but I've never seen them made. So you can kind of make do with those. You just push the tyres to the front. Now this is more of a looker. You can drive this car, but there's certain things that will cause it to be a bit of an issue. The tyres, also the stance that I'm on, that it would rub quite easily on the body, but this one is purely a looker, so I was going for more of a realistic look. The rims, now I did have a few rims on order. I tried some MST LM style rims. They were £21.99 that are adjustable offset. I ended up putting them on my Opal. They look nice, but they didn't really look factory. Now these ones I managed to pick up off eBay. These are drift rims. They're adjustable as well, and they were £25.46, but they're white. So what I did was I dismantled them, and one thing that was brilliant about these, you could break them down into their little parts and then you could paint them all up individually, and then once you put them all back together again, you have nice sharp lines. So I tried to match the actual photo that I had. One thing that I probably would try to do differently next time is the gunmetal that I used is quite dark versus the real car. Number plates, these number plates I got off a guy off eBay. Now the number plates are, I got two sets of two, and I pay £8.04. They are brilliant. They're really good quality, and they're actually on reflective material, so they do look very much like real number plates, and he offers lots of different countries, but I wanted to do it as a UK one. And this number plate is the actual number plate from a car that I've seen in this colour, a real one. Exhausts, I have fitted the exhaust on this car and super chuffed with them. I've actually made a bracket inside. It's not, I've got to paint it black so it kind of disappears inside, but it's pretty much done. And they kind of bounce around a little bit as well, which is nice. Really happy with them, especially where you've got the tips. They are metal, so the tips have got like heat marks on them and they look brilliant. Those I picked up for two of them, £17.98 off eBay. Highly recommend it. Most of the hard work is actually finding a bracket and then lining everything up so it works. Now the exhausts on this car stay on the chassis. They're bolted to the chassis, not the body. Another thing that I've done is I've fitted 3D printed body pins, just two at the front and two at the back. They are lovely, absolutely. Really add another level of detail, and there's so many more bits and pieces you can do. I'd like to put an aerial on the car somehow. That would be something extra that I'd like to look into. I did all the body lines. One thing that I would probably go back and do slightly differently is the body lines that I've used. The tape is a fraction thick. It looks okay, but I think if I could get an even thinner tape, that would help with the realism side of it, as the panel gaps are defined but a little bit more than what you'd see on the road car. Now I've still got the headlights to do. That's probably the biggest thing. I've got the buckets coming, and then I've got to remove these, and then I've got to take out the paint. What I'll probably do is just cut out this section here maybe, and then leave the outer circle. So that will be my edging. So I'll get a scalpel, I'll remove it, and then I'll cut all the paint out from underneath, and then I can fit the buckets, as the front really needs that to make it look more real for sure. But they haven't arrived yet. So there you go, comment below, let me know what you think. Now I still have the GT1 street body. What I'll probably do is just put that to one side, and then when I have another chassis that it fits, I will then put it on that. Or maybe I'll sell it on down the line, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But I've got quite a few body sets that I tend to keep when you can actually get them for a reasonable price, and then later on I can use them if I decide to. Anyway, thanks very much, please like and subscribe, and it's on to the next one.